you're really in real Indonesia. You're part of the family. It doesn't take too many people. It's quite small, so it's not overbearing. It's just a little piece of paradise.
So we're coming down the west side of Telos from the northwest, and as you might be able to see now, the charts bear absolutely no resemblance to what is going on in real life. I've just plotted some waypoints based on the satellite, which we've got here, satellite images, and as you can see they cut through land here. You know, they were out by a few degrees, but now as we get closer they bear no resemblance whatsoever to what we're seeing. Well, how about that then, eh? This picture postcard desert island, complete with, it's just packed full of coconut palm, and right in the centre on the beach is a church. Well, it looks like a church anyway. Nice spot. Oh, here's our first proper bunch of surfers. Looks like 2 surf boats there and a whole load of surfers in the water. There's a guy catching a wave right now. He's looking pretty good. I have to say there's some pretty big breakers out there. You can't quite see them from this angle, but some very big waves. So these 2 lads have been hanging around the boat for the last 10 minutes, tying off the back, and I don't know if they particularly want anything, but we've given them some water. They say they come from Telos, I think they said, which is 5 kilometres away, so they've paddled over. I guess they're doing some fishing. They don't have anything to sell. We've already had 2 or 3 boats come up and try and sell us some shells and coconuts, and I'm not entirely sure what they want, but anyway, they seem very friendly. They have 2 very Christian names. I need to check again. What is your name again? Antonius and Marenos. So clearly Christian, which kind of ties in, I guess, with some of the churches we've seen on these islands. We've seen more churches than mosques. In fact, we haven't seen any mosques. It's been mainly churches, so strong Christian influence here.
Well, we had a good night's sleep last night in the anchorage at Telos. A little bit of weather came through, but nothing too much to worry about. So this morning we thought, rather than going out and having a look at the islands, we would do a little bit of provisioning, maybe some refueling if we can, in Telos town. It looks really cute. Just another mile to go, and then we're going to see if we can anchor. We're told the holding is not great. We'll give it our best shot. We're not planning to stay overnight, but it should be good enough for us to get a bit of shopping done.
Well, 2 things to note as we make our way up towards Telos town. The first is Brendan, our friend Brendan, who's been absolutely marvellous as our online guide. He knows this place like the back of his hand and comes up with all the right tips and courses and anchorages, and he's been really good. He's given us a few pointers on where to pick up the cleanest fuel. The other thing is this. Look at this. That is an AIS target of another sailboat called Clementine 1, 12 metres, and that is the first AIS target we have seen since we had that close encounter with the fuel barge all the way back up the top of the island. So I wonder if we'll bump into them.
Sway the day away.
Well, after much to and fro, we finally found Dino's. Dino's is Brendan's recommended diesel supplier. Poor old Brendan though, I have to feel for him. He was saying look for the yellow and maroon building. I think yellow and maroon is the national colour for every house on this island. Yellow and maroon. Yellow and maroon. Over there, yellow and maroon. Anyway, after much ducking around, I managed to find it. And we've found Dino. He's taken off our cans and we're going to pick up about 200 odd litres. And here is a lady saying, Pulau Telo, the island of Telo.
Pulau Telo. Ini Pulau Telo.
Good.
Pasar Pulau Telo.
Pasar Pulau Telo.
Pulau Telo.
Good lady. There's a little fish farm here. There's a lot of these where they've got, looks like crayfish mainly inside there. It's a little bit rainy now, so I'm going to duck under the cover and we're going to go for a bit of an explore with Telo Town. Okay. Cheers. Terima kasih. Ah, hello. How are you? It's coming up to lunchtime. I haven't had breakfast. Feeling a little bit hungry. These guys have got the right idea though.
Sway the day away, just like yesterday. Sway the day away, play and sleep and play. Sway the day away, just like yesterday. Sway the day away, play and sleep and play. All day we sway the day away.
Well, we didn't get too far. We got as far as getting diesel, which was the most important thing. And then we stumbled across this shop, which sells bintang. So we've had a delightful afternoon chatting to these two guys who are doctors. And they're volunteer doctors, so he works most of his time, I think, in a surgery, and then comes out here to do volunteer work, which is great because obviously the island needs doctors, especially with all the surfers cutting themselves up on the reefs here. This guy thinks I'm taking a photo. I'm not, I'm documenting the Tropo doc, who is Derek, and his assistant here, Fiona, who's from the UK. And this is open surgery at the, I think they're called the Two Fat Ladies. They're not really Two Fat Ladies, but this is what Brendan calls Two Fat Ladies, where we get our afternoon bintang. And Derek and Fiona are sitting here, and as I say, it's like open surgery. So random local people will come in. Fiona's there with her stethoscope and she's consulting with some of these guys with issues that they have. The guy on the left here has very high blood pressure, so she's been chatting to Derek to work out what medication they can give them. Now bear in mind, of course, is that the medication they have to hand is pretty restricted. It's based on what Derek can bring over from New Zealand when he goes back. And it's interesting to just see these guys at work, chatting to each other, working out what these guys might have. Of course, there's quite a few of these issues are very localized, like dengue and malaria. But it's good to see that they've got two professionals on call to help these local people, because there are really no medical services or facilities on this island. There's a couple of Catholic hospitals here. I think one has closed down already. Okay, we're outside Dino's. Dino is the guy that was recommended to us by Brendan to pick up diesel. Now, one of the big issues in Indonesia is dirty diesel. It's quite common for people to block their filters with shitty diesel, but Brendan said that Dino's diesel is some of the cleanest that you can get around this part of Sumatra. And I'm just inspecting this delivery here, and I have to say it looks quite clean. So this is the guy that we've just bought our diesel from. I'm hoping that everything is good and that we won't have a problem with it. Of course, we won't know that for a while yet because our tanks are full with the diesel we picked up in Thailand, but we'll find out in a few hundred miles whether Dino's diesel is good. It's starting to approach the late afternoon. We've got that lovely sun dropping down now, so the heat is a little bit cooler and the town is waking up. There's a lot going on here.
Sway the day away, just like yesterday. Sway the day away, play and sleep and play. Sway the day away, just like yesterday. Sway the day away, play and sleep and play.
Well, we just had fun and games leaving the anchorage there, and here's our track to show you. So what we were trying to do is to go down through this channel here. As you know, the charts are actually offset by a good 200 meters, maybe even more, up to half a mile. So anyway, you can see what we were trying to do was to come out from our anchorage and down through here, and we were anchored in 22 meters. Off the corner here is a little spit, that's where we were this morning, but the satellite was showing nothing other than a little bit of reef here. But as you can see, as we started to make our way, the depth dropped from 20 meters to 9 meters in the space of a few boat lengths, and we were only doing about 3 knots under engine. So a lot to be said for taking it easy under engine when you're navigating through here. And also it shows you that not even the satellite images are always showing you exactly what's going on. There's a couple of theories here. It's either just a bad photograph, or the other theory is, of course, is that since that satellite image was taken, the seabed has shifted, and that's not impossible for that to happen. So just to play it safe, as you can see, we slammed the boat into a stern, spun it round and came down this way. Now this was also interesting because we had breaking surf here and breaking surf here. So it was about trying to find the centre of the channel between those breakers, and it's really quite disconcerting to see these because they're not insignificant, these breaking waves. And as we came out into the ocean, significant swell, significant enough that when I was standing at the helm, the horizon disappeared. Our only thing we've got to look out for now is this reef here. We are actually going to that waypoint, but in reality the reef is somewhere over here. And then after that we're going to come round and pick one of what is supposed to be one of the best anchorages in this area. Just had to show you this. This is my breakfast or brunch. This is Lizzie's homemade bread and her homemade salsa on, well, we used to call it bruschetta, but we've been told it's bruschetta is the correct pronunciation. It is very, very tasty.
Good.
So this is Sipica, or as locals call it, Sipica. And this is one huge break which runs all the way down the west side of the island. Very popular spot. As you can see, we're right behind it now. It's quite impressive, giving it a very wide berth. And there it is from the other side. Looks very different, doesn't it? So this is going to be our new home for the next day or two. Not too shabby, eh? There's the resort I think I mentioned. We don't know if it's open yet or not. Would be nice if it was. Quite fancy a cold beer.
The truth. 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 The truth.
Well, this looks pretty beautiful, doesn't it? And once again, we are the only boat here. It keeps happening. It's just amazing. In the next episode, we will go ashore, show you what it's all about and discover what's going on the island. So if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, share on social media, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Peace and fair winds.